And before we get started, we put on the consultation form on the website, so we started running training sessions, consultations, and Zoom sessions.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Can't see my face that much. Had a rough day yesterday.
That's all right. So I was just reading over your form. You worked with a trainer before.
Yeah.
Mainly on your handling skills, or like you as a trainer, kind of, right? For reactivity.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of improvement. But like masks and of course skateboarders are a thing.
Yeah, and I live right by the skateboard park.
Sure. And yeah, so it seems like, from what I read, it seems like you have a nervous dog.
I mean, look at her. She's like this all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the smells kind of get to them anyways, but truthfully, she really is a good dog. I'd say 95% is good, but I don't like the 5%.
Okay.
And she is, like I said, she's normally pretty good with everybody, but like some of the maintenance guys, I don't know why, she will just aggressively bark at them. And I have no idea. I know one of the guys doesn't like dogs, and I'm always like, it's because you don't like dogs. She knows it. She's very treat motivated. If you can't tell, I have one in my hand.
Yes.
And she will pay attention. I mean, she's smart, you know her breed. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to figure it out what to do with skateboarders, and she's very hesitant. I mean, I read on her breed prior to getting her.
Okay.
You know, she can be weird with people. Sometimes she's good, sometimes she's not. I try to tell people, don't stare her down. It's threatening. You know, I worked a lot on the elevator with her. And
That's all,
yeah, worked on the elevator a lot. I mean, we rode the elevator up and down. But yeah, I mean, I just need to work on her reactivity, and then when she's out in public and she sees something she wants, it's just, she can't focus on me. And you know, she's good indoors. Even when people come inside, I just try to say ignore her for a little bit, don't even pay attention to her, and she warms up pretty quickly. It's almost like I think she's very insecure, truthfully. When they sit down with her, she's good with them. It's like, okay, cool, you're not a threat to me. I mean, the girl is scared of snowmen. So I just need to, I try to work on her confidence, and I've been reading about it. I've been trying to watch as many people as possible to see what I can do to help her with her confidence. I mean, she will hear, I live on the 24th floor of a building, and I'm right at the corner of Roosevelt and Wabash, so it's a crazy corner. She hears a skateboarder, and it's just like, but if they're on those silent, like the electric ones, and it doesn't have that noise, like it's like Pavlov, you know, and the dog and the bone and drooling and everything. But yeah, I need to figure out what I need to do to, one, help make her more confident, and two, to not get her to be as reactive. I mean, I feel like I feel like her breed is probably a little bit, I mean, she hurts people. She started muzzle punching my dad.
Oh, sure.
And my dad, I told him, I was like, don't react by moving away from her. I don't know if that was right, but it just seemed like it made sense to me. I was like, don't let her think that if she muzzle punches you, you're going to go away. I go, stay there. And then she just stopped doing it eventually, like hurting almost, which I don't know if it's.
Where does she muzzle punch him?
I mean, he's 6'1", but if his hand's down here, she'll punch him right in the legs.
Gotcha.
The legs, the ankles. I'm like, you're her cow.
Yeah, so she doesn't open mouth, she just pushes.
Yeah, now I have seen her do it. Sometimes, like I said, she'll be completely fine. But like people, you know how people are. You can sit and tell people not to touch your dog. My dog's in training as much as possible. But like you'll have that person that'll come in and reach over top, and I'm like, think if I was their size. You know, it's intimidating. And especially for a dog like her. I mean, like I said, she really is good. But if you walked up, she might come up and sniff you. But she's gonna be very hesitant, like, who the hell are you?
Sure.
You know? The only thing that truthfully that ever calms her down is this soft muzzle. I put it on her, and I did it for the first probably 5-6 months, it was like if she was acting too stressed out, I would put this on her and it was like, oh, fuck, Mom.
Sure, you're fine.
Sorry.
I swear all the time.
Okay. All right. Oh, man, Mom, now Mom needs I can't play or I can't act that way now. And then it just relaxes her and then she focuses. So I don't really know. I don't know what her problem is. She's a little stressed out right now because she doesn't drive in cars a lot.
Okay.
So
Sure.
coming here, yeah. But like I said, if you don't pay attention to her, she's fine. She's like, okay, I'll come up to you on your own time. You know I'm talking about you. But
She's very inquisitive, just like.
Yes, she's a very intense glare. I always tell people in the elevator, she'll mean mug people. And she always mean mugs people that have like disabilities. Or like that are, you know, like a black person or somebody else. And I'm like, why? Don't do that. Like, stop. Wrong time to do that right now.
Well, clearly you trained her to do that.
What? Oh, I'm like, I think so. And actually, to be honest, I only got her when she was 8 months old. So she came from a farm.
Yeah, I saw
And yep, she came from a farm, and I still talk to the girl. She just wasn't socialized with people. She's really good with dogs. I tried when I first got her. I was like, oh, maybe I can take her to doggy daycare. I don't take her to dog parks. That place is just, she leaves that with bad manners. And everybody laughs at me. They're like, you're so strict on your dog. I was like, yeah, but my dog doesn't act like your asshole dog. Boy, and I'd rather be super strict on my dog than not. But the doggy daycare, she would literally hide under the desk, even though she loves dogs. She would hide under the desk until she got a dog that she was comfortable with. But like, it was just too much stimulation for her. And I took her like maybe 2 days in a row and I watched on camera like a psycho to see her reaction. And she jumped up in the guy's lap and just wanted to sit there. So yeah, I don't really know what, she hears, but this is not I'm going to attack you, it's a fear. Like she walks into a room now and looks up because one time the window washers caught her when she wasn't expecting it.
Oh, sure.
Anytime she walks in somewhere, she's like this, looking. So she it's all fear. I move the fan, and she'll growl at the fan. It's like anything that she's not used to. I mean, she growled at the Christmas tree for a good 10 minutes. You know, I put a box up on the counter that's not normally there. She growls at it. You know, and I try to encourage her I try not to baby her, but I'm like, come, smell this, you know, walk up, it's okay, you're good. But yeah, I don't know. That's it. Sorry, I know I just vomited out the mouth.
It's a lot of information. Do you play ball with her?
She does not like fetch.
Okay.
But I do, she loves sniffing.
Okay.
So we do I have a lot of scent toys.
Sure.
I hide her food around the house in weird spots. And she loves to do that. And then her favorite thing to do is I have a 30-40 foot leash. And I live, like I said, right where there's all those fields. And so I'll take her out there, and that's her favorite thing to do is just sniff. So actually one of the girls in my building comes to you. So it's a little, I live in 1140. It's a little brown dachshund mix, I think. And it always used to wear a little
Duke?
I think that might be the name. I should know that. The mom
Is she brunette?
Brunette.
Yeah, I didn't tell her.
Yeah. So we
I
talked.
thought she was in the South Loop.
Yeah, she's in 1140. So we always get in the elevator together, and I remember when they first moved in, and then I saw one day she had the e-collar on, and I was like, where do you go? I was like, I think I know where you go.
It's funny because the last time I saw her, which was this past Tuesday.
Yeah, she said she just recently saw you.
Yeah. Because she had taken a break, and then because she was dealing with the Duke has touch sensitivity. So if you pick him up the wrong way, whatever, he would get defensive.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I told her stuff like that takes time. So I gave her like the core of what she needed.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, now just go and practice and then come back when you're ready for part 2.
Yeah.
And then like he made a lot of progress. So.
He did. I mean, I saw it in the elevator when he first moved in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the thing with her. So I remember when I first got her, maybe about a month or 2 later, we were at our friend's cabin, and the one guy was just kind of oblivious to her anxiety and her fear, but the other guy was very like, nope, you're not gonna act that way, and just picked her up, and she was like, oh, okay,
Sure.
I can't act like that. And she loves him now.
Mm-hmm.
It's all like, I don't know why the pickup, like when I'm not around, and I think a lot of it's me, because I mean, obviously quarantine, they get used to being with you. When I'm not around, she's very, very shy. And when I would come around in the beginning and they would hand me the leash, it was like almost just like a pass off, and it was like, oh, my mom's here now. I'm gonna act all big and tough. I don't know why. I really try to figure out the dog psychology as much as possible. But yeah, I mean, like I said, if you picked her up, she'd be completely fine with you picking her up. She'd just kind of like go like, oh, okay.
Sure.
To give in. So a lot of it, I think, is just super insecure.
We were using food earlier to train a dog, so she's probably catching the scent.
Oh, she's very, like I said, very, very scent motivated. And she knows her basics. I mean, Idgie, heel. Yes. Okay, good job. She knows her stuff. She knows how to do it. If she knows we're walking towards the park, I cannot get her to do this, but if we walk up north towards the river, heels right away, you know? I mean, she knows her northeast, south. She knows that we are going east, that means we're going to the park.
Sure, yeah.
And so that's, you know, another thing, just trying to get her to focus. And I'm very strict. I do not give in on this girl. I know that when I give her in one time, she's like, oh, okay, I got it. We work on place. We do place. But, you know, we haven't worked on place outside, really, of the house. We don't work on it outside yet because she's still not good with it on the inside. I do have like a short collar that I have that ties into place. But yeah, like I said, if I put this on outside, she's really, it's like relaxes. I don't know why this thing does it.
Sure.
So yeah.
Okay. So from everything that you're describing, definitely sounds like a nervous dog. And
Do you mind if she wants
No, she's
okay.
fine.
Okay.
Just keep her on the leash,
I will.
just because if she were to run off,
Yeah.
go into this the dog space. A nervous dog and overstimulated dog.
Yes.
That's what I pick up here. In terms of like when you said on the pass off, where it's like night and day, right? Where she's like very shy and all of a sudden she's big and tough.
She used to do that. She doesn't do that as much anymore. And I think because she started to go around more people now.
Yeah.
That she used to do that probably the first 5-6 months. She hasn't done it since, but it's in her. You know, I mean, obviously it's in her. So
the reason why that happens is because you empower her. You give her something to protect. So dogs are I'll tell people like light switches. They're on or off. So I don't know if you've seen that video. It went viral where there's like a fence that's opening and closing, and there's 2 dogs on either side of the fence. And as it's closing, the dogs are fighting. And then when it opens up, the dogs stop fighting. And like they could literally just go at each other. And as soon as they close, they start fighting. And then when it opens, they stop fighting. And that's why I tell people they're on or off. When they have the fence is closed, it's territorial or barrier aggression. Once the fence is open, there's no longer a barrier, their aggression goes away. So here, in the beginning, you know, because of lack of socialization, and all that stuff is when they handed her over and then the behavior switches, it's because now she's in your hands and then she just turns on and goes, I have something to protect now. So it's like if a dog has a bone and I go to touch the bone, the dog will growl, but then when I remove my hand, the dog goes back to chewing the bone like nothing happened. They don't sit there and like hold on to things like humans do. You know, like a human would be like, why did you try to touch my food? And they just kind of dwell on it. Dogs are like, oh, you're not trying to touch my food? All right, cool, I'm gonna go back to chewing my bone. You know, when it comes to the whole pickup thing, it can be a couple reasons. One, it doesn't give the brain enough, like when you said that gentleman just came in and just scooped her up, is he didn't give her brain time to respond. You know, like I get clients whose dogs are reactive and they'll say like, hey Jesse, like a dog just charges out of nowhere and my dog turned around and I was like expecting a dog fight and they were completely fine. I said, yeah, because the dog came in so quick that your dog didn't have a chance to respond. You know, they're just kind of like, well, this is happening. As opposed to seeing a dog approach slowly and then it becomes a situation. Because it
has time to think about how it's going to react. Yeah.
So the skateboarder thing, not uncommon, that's pretty, you know.
Yeah.
All of when you said like the box on the counter and all that stuff, that's all nervous response for sure. Yeah. So this is pretty. Everything you're explaining to me is typical nervous and overstimulated dog personality type. Okay. Now overstimulation is not really a personality thing, as it is more so just a lack of structure that she understands. Okay, because I can see that you've done a lot of training with her, and I can see that you employ a lot of training throughout your day, and it is structured, right? But it's structured in a human sense as opposed to a dog sense. So structure to a dog is consequence. So I see you're doing positive reinforcement. Did you do clicker?
She has a plastic one on. Do you know that one?
Oh, the star mark collar?
I don't know. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's a star mark collar.
Yeah,
the blue one.
They were right when, after we did we did like 10 sessions, probably 7 sessions, I think. We were gonna switch to what's the metal one?
Prom?
Yeah, the prom. Yeah, what do they call it though? It's like a German word, right?
Hermsprayer?
Yeah, that one. I was like, I know it's a German word.
Yeah.
We were gonna switch to that one, and then I was like, this is working. I'm not opposed to switching to that at all. I want a well-behaved dog. That's my main goal of coming here. So, but I mean, so far it works pretty well.
Sure.
I mean, I don't really know the difference between them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the star mark collar, like there's so many different training tools. I'm a very traditional, simple person. There's 4 tools that I use out of like, I don't know, maybe like 3, you know? So there's prong collar, then there's the star mark collar, and there's like other versions of the same thing. And I just use prong collar.
Okay.
Now, do you have to switch to prong? No.
No.
And I'll explain like how all this would work.
Yeah.
But so I see, okay, so you have a star mark collar, that's good. So there is consequence, right? Now, have you used it or do you use it to correct her?
I try to do the quick. I try to do it. I don't think, truthfully, that it does. I don't think it's enough correction for her. You know, because I mean, I do know how to do the quick, you know, snap. But, and she knows, she'll catch on. But when she's overstimulated, it's like, I don't give a fuck, Mom. Like, I'm going for it, you know? So it's almost like she needs a bigger consequence.
Yes. So the star mark, so the reason why I'm not a fan of the star mark collar is because it's the blue triangles, right?
These are just black ones, but yeah.
Yeah, like the shape of it is like the right. It's not like you said. Even if you give a firm correction, the way it's designed nullifies the correction.
Correct.
Right. So you could give a 10, but all she gets is a 3 to 4. You know. Whereas with the prong collar, she would receive the full power of a 10, the way it's styled. Even with prong, however, like you mentioned, when she's in that zone, you can't get through because your intensity is not there. So if she's at a 20 and you come in at a 10, you're stuck because she's 10 levels higher than you. And that's why remote collar comes in, okay? And that's why my tool of choice is just remote collar. The reason why I use that tool is one, right off the bat, I get off-leash control. Two, I don't have these issues of like, oh crap, like I corrected the dog, but it wasn't firm enough, right? E-collar doesn't have that issue, pending I have the correct collar to the dog, okay? And plus it's at the press of a button, so it's very easy for people to do. So like, if I do a correction with a prong collar versus my client does a correction for a prong collar, it's gonna be very different, because I've been doing this for like 10 plus years and I know how to use and correct the prong collar, right? So, whereas with my client, I have to teach them how to correct with the prong collar.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So it's a skill set. So with remote collar, if I press the button at 35 and my client presses the button at 35, it's the same thing, right? So it just helps close that gap very easily. So when it comes to overriding overstimulation or reactivity towards it in the skateboard or whatever, we can match that, okay? You just have to be willing to go there, is how I put it. Because a lot of people aren't. They feel bad about it. They're like, oh crap, like I don't want to go to 80, you know?
Well, I think my biggest fear, and I'm very aware of using the e-collar, like that you guys use the e-collar, and I know, I've read enough about it. I know that it's not a mean thing to do. But I think my only question / fear is because she is a fearful dog and very overstimulated, is that going to, it's not going to negatively affect her and scare her more?
No.
Okay, and that was my only thing. I mean, like I said, she gets scared one time over something and it takes a while to get her not to be so fearful.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, I just want to make sure that it's not something that is gonna be negatively or affect her negatively,
Right. So, yes, it can if you do it the wrong way. Okay. So most people are punishment based, which means, and by people I mean the way their minds work, and also even for dog trainers, most dog trainers think punishment based. Okay. So what this means is, let's say you shape sit with food, right? And you say sit, she sits, free, treat, blah 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 blah. So the person goes, my dog now knows sit. Then they go outside, and the dog is distracted by something, and then goes sit. The dog doesn't do it, and they go yank, right? And the dog goes, what the fuck was that? So you went from an extreme of you do sit, you get treats, to if you don't do sit, you get a punisher, okay? So there's a really big gap there, because a dog doesn't really tie that together like a human would. So if my mom came up and smacked me upside the head and was like, hey, you didn't do your homework, I could tie that together, right? Dogs don't do that. You have to teach the dog using pressure. So everything that we do, even for dogs that are already trained, we have to reshape the behaviors using remote collar, okay? So I think, right there, what you just did, that's pressure.
Oh,
Okay?
Yeah.
You pulled up on your stop mark collar and you pressed down on the butt, you put physical pressure, and as soon as she gave it to you, the pressure went away. Okay? So it's the same thing with remote collar. So instead of shaping, and even if I get a completely like blank slate dog, because people always go like, Jesse, it's unfair that you're using remote collar right off the bat. I'm like, the dog doesn't even know it either way. And that's actually much better for the dog to shape it using gradual pressure than it is to do food and then punish the dog for not doing it, okay? So here, the first thing that we always teach is the heel. So, I know you said like when you go north, right, because you're not going to, I'm assuming Grant Park or whatever?
Graham, I don't take her there, but we walk outside of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but that whole area.
Yeah, I know the area. I used to live on 11th and Wabash, so.
Okay, yeah, there's another guy over there that has a beagle that smokes cigars. That was a client of yours too.
Yeah, a dog with the glasses, yeah.
Yeah.
He was like a neighbor.
Yeah.
Well, he actually wasn't, he was like
Oh,
down
was
the
he?
hall.
Yeah, I always see his dog running around without a leash right there, and I'm just like, oh, this freaks me out.
Maybell, I think is her name.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
And we've talked before too, because I would still, even in the city, I just don't trust.
Sure.
There's too much shit in the city,
Yeah. But yeah, I know. So we always teach the heel, right? And our style of heel is very strict. If I take 5 steps, the dog takes 5 steps, I take 3 steps, they take 3 steps, when I stop, they automatically sit. I don't care what the setting is, and this is the completely slack leash, up to no leash if you want, okay? When you layer in the e-collar, the reason why the heel is so important is it allows us to layer the e-collar in a very non-confrontational manner, okay? So confrontational would be sit, the dog doesn't do it, no, remote, okay? As opposed to me just walking, and when the dog's not at my hip, me remoting until the dog comes to the hip, okay? And there's more involved. I don't want you to think I'm just pressing the button, the dog just comes here. We're doing things to teach the dog how to respond to pressure and how to turn it off, okay? We always start down low and then we work our way up.
To
so
see what number is
exactly, right? So I don't come in at 80, but if I need to go to 80 to stop reactivity, I will, okay? Because obedience and behavior are 2 different things. So when it comes to obedience, we have to shape it. We have to start lower and work our way up because obedience is unnatural to dogs. She is not meant to sit, stay down, come place heel, okay? She is a dog. She's meant to go pee on things, chew on bark, make puppies, replicate, survive, hunt squirrels, you know, and if there's herding instinct, herd things. Like that's what she's built for, right? Obedience is something that we've created so that we could control our dogs to do more things with them, okay? So it would be unfair for me to come in and say sit, she doesn't do it, and then remote her at 80 if she's never had e-collar before. Because she's like, well, what the hell is this, right? But when it comes to behavior, technically, yes, I could come in if needed and remote her at a higher level. Because for dogs, if she goes to the dog park and she's playing, and let's say she jumps on a dog, and that dog doesn't like it, they would just turn around and invite her. They wouldn't say, hey, don't jump on me, that's disrespectful. Did you not read the rules of the dog park? They don't have that conversation. That dog would just escalate the physicality as needed, appropriate, right, to her.
And she definitely, when she gets corrected by other dogs, she's very submissive on that. Like my parents, like 8-pound dog is older, and you know, she's a little spaz sometimes, a lot of the times. And the dog corrects her and she's like, oh shit, okay. Like she'll get corrected. I actually when I first had her, I got a cheap little bark collar because about a month into like having her, I was sitting at the desk and she started realizing that if she barks at me, I started paying attention to her, and I try not to pay attention to her. So I got a vibrating bark collar, and then it would go to the noise, like a cheap one. Probably within 2 hours, she was like, oh, never doing that again. She does not do it again, ever. Like she gets corrected quickly. She knows, but yeah. So anyway, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt there.
Sure. So with the e-collar, we always start with heel first to teach. And heel has so many benefits. You know, one, when a dog feels e-collar, they tend to want to move, and more often than not, they want to move away. They want to go no flight response. So we use heel, which is a moving behavior, to teach the dog to not move away from us, but to move with us. Okay, so it gives her the ability to express the need to move in response to e-collar, but also allows us to shape the concept of like, don't move away from me, walk at my side. Walking alleviates stress, and the e-collar is a stressor. So as you expose her to the e-collar, you're also walking at the same time to help her expel that stress. Okay. Leash pulling and leash reactivity are like 2 of the most common things that people want to address. Heel is how we address that problem. When it comes to overstimulation issues, heel is the command that helps the dog learn how to pacify and be calm. It's the foundation for everything that we build off of that. So almost every video that you watch with me on YouTube is almost always heel, okay? Because of those things. Plus, most people walk their dogs at least 3 times a day, 7 days a week, because we live in the city. So it's something that you would expose her to 3 times a day, 7 days a week. So it allows her to get over that much more quickly, as opposed to something that you would only practice like every now and then. It would take forever to get her over it, okay? So the heel is super important. So that's always day 1. So class 1, we do the heel. I help you find your working number, all that stuff, how to apply it in your setting, and then you go and you practice. You come back week 2, how are you doing? Jessie, she's calmer in the house. We heard a skateboarder going down Roosevelt, she didn't bark for the first time. We went by the skate park and she walked by no problem. and then you might say like, but we did have a moment when a skateboarder came towards us and she barked.
That's when she has her issues, because I'll sit at the skateboarding park. I tried for months every day to sit at the skateboarding park to desensitize her, and she's comfortable with that. But if it's coming her direction, and I'll watch her spot something, because I watch her all the time. I'm always looking at her, and I'll see her spot something. Or if she's been having so much fun, she's been running around having a blast, and then she has to come in and heel, and we have to walk home, she'll randomly, if we're sitting on the corner, because she always has to sit and heel when we're sitting at any corner, street, anything. Every once in a while when we're going home, if a bus or a car goes by and she spots it, she tries to start barking at it. At a biker, she'll do it too, but only when it's like, I don't know if she's just been overstimulated by being able to have freedom. But it's when she spots something from a distance and she just stares it down, and I can see. So I try to get her to heel, try to get her to focus on me. I don't know, yeah. But
so the reason why that happens is when you're in the dog park, you're in the thick of it. She's like overwhelmed, and you like confronted it. As opposed to you're walking on the sidewalk and here's this like Lone Ranger of a skateboard coming towards her that's out of context. Now that's a threat. Okay? So we would see, so by week 2 you come back and you let me know all the progress, and then when we're still struggling. Okay? Heel tends to fix like 70% of problems. That's why it's, again, like the first thing that we always teach. Come class 2, we review things. Okay, cool, we're making progress. Here's the second half of heel, because heel is a 2-class exercise. We're gonna make some adjustments and some tweaks for the reactivity stuff that might be residual. Go and do your homework. Come back week 3, how are we doing? Jessie, great, but she's still struggling with those skateboarders coming towards us, okay? How high did you have to go to correct her? I got as high as 45, but she was still barking. What does that tell us?
needs to go up higher.
Gotta go higher, right? And I give you a methodology. It's not just go up higher and gamble it. There's a methodology to it, okay? So you're just kind of building off of all these failures. And so eventually you're like, you know what, you come back one class, you're like, you know what, Jessie was 65. She stopped at the skateboarder, and then 3 days later we saw another skateboarder, she didn't bark. I go, cool. 65 is what we needed to stop and deter the reactivity, okay? So then whenever you see a skateboard, your assumption then would be jump to 65, okay? And then we just start to build off of that. So the first 2 classes are heel. By the 3rd class, you know, pending everything is going well, we can jump into recall, which would be come when pulled, so that you can be able to let her go off leash if you'd like and not have to worry about is my dog going to take off on me, okay? When it comes to like nervous responses to people and stuff.
Yeah, that's one of the things definitely I want to work on.
That's a bit trickier because of the person. Like you said, if someone just comes in and goes, hey, right? That is disrespectful in the dog world. Like you said, you know, if you put yourself in that position, it was very threatening. And there are exercises that we can do, but what happens is dogs learn the difference between controlled context and organic context, right? So if we're practicing and we're doing the overhead stuff and giving the treat, the counter condition and everything, she goes, okay, but I'm comfortable because I can see mom is very controlled in this situation, as opposed to you're sitting at the corner of Grant Park and someone just comes up behind you and goes, hey, look at your cute dog. It's completely out of context now. Does that make sense? So when it comes to that, and I read that you said like you have no problem telling people that you're training, whatever.
Yeah, I don't have the problem. And it's 95%. She loves people. But it's a really weird thing too, because if you come in and reach over her head, and I try to do reaching over her head myself to try to work on it, and obviously it's me, but I try to work on reaching over her head. And what I've noticed as well is if somebody comes in, she'll kind of pull back like what's going on, but then when they pull away, then I've seen her try to lunge in.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
lunge reactively.
Yeah, lunge reactively. And I'm like, why is it she pulls back when the hand comes in, but when the hand goes away, she's like, get over here. Yeah. It's like a delayed reaction or something.
What it is when you move into a dog space, it's confrontational, which is why you see the pullback.
Yeah.
And that builds up stress levels. So when the threat pulls away, those stress levels got to go somewhere. Plus, when you move away, the dog thinks you're retreating, so to speak. That a insecure dog then has confidence to come forward. So if I'm dealing with like a fear-aggressive dog, I'll move in, dog moves backward. I move backwards, dog moves in.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why.
Yeah.
It's when they're coming in, she goes, whoa, she jumps back, and she gets, her stress levels go up. She's perceiving threat and confrontation.
Yeah.
So when they pull back, she's like, hey, and she pulls forward to essentially correct them for invading her personal space. Okay, so
Yes.
that's all to me, that makes sense.
Yeah, okay, yeah. It's the weirdest thing. I don't get it sometimes.
Yeah, that's, I mean, people do the same thing,
Yeah,
you know, where they'll, like, if one person is approaching another person, and this person doesn't want confrontation, they'll move back. And then when the other person says back off and turn around, then this person starts like, you know, fuck you, you know,
yeah, exactly. No,
it's the
totally.
same thing.
Sit.
So, when it comes to the human stuff, we can absolutely help socialize her, but we cannot make her unnervous. Okay, what we can do is help her learn how to handle her nervousness better, and I can help you learn how to handle your nervous dog even better. Okay, all that can be done, but we cannot make her something that she isn't.
Yeah, and I get that.
When it comes to like socializing with people and stuff, it's really just, what's the word? Controlling your environment as best as possible.
And that's pretty much what I do. Like kids, I don't even mess around with that.
Sure.
Like those things are wild anyways.
Right.
Like I don't blame her.
And big energy, like kids' energy, because
Yeah.
they're loud and yelling and stuff.
I apologize. It's her. She's very routine. It's past her dinner time, and I can tell that she's getting. I should have fed her before I
That's
came.
fine.
That was my fault. So sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah, nervous dogs don't like big energy and loud energy. So like all that stuff is, you know, not out the ordinary. What really dictates length of time and cost and everything is just like how well trained, obedience-wise, aside from the behavior, do you want her to be? Okay, if your goal is, you know, all I really care about is just, you know, the residual leash reactivity and just kind of fine-tuning socialization with humans. We have to do heal with e-collar because that's like the baseline for everything. The next thing I would suggest is the recall, because recall is super important and will give you a lot more freedom with her. I have 3, 6, 9, and 12-week programs. I kind of feel like you're in the 6 to maybe 9-week range. If you did 6, the way I would break it down, first 2 classes, like I said, are heal. The third class, how those first 2 classes are kind of impacting her, kind of dictates how we go about things. If you come back by the 3rd class, you're like, you know what, Jesse, man, like her reactivity is like great. It's like almost gone. Like every now and then we get a moment, but when I correct her, it stops it, but then it sticks for a while. I go, great, it's doing its job, we just continue to do that. And then I ask you, like, what do you want to cover? And you might say, like, I want to do recall now. Well, great, let's cover recall. Or you might say, like, can you show me how to, like, introduce her to people in a way that she feels comfortable? I go, sure, then I teach you that, okay? So with 6 classes, it's typically 2 on heal. Recall itself is 2 classes as well, which leaves 2 classes to work on behavioral stuff. Now, it may not seem like a whole lot, but dog behavior is really simple when it comes to remote collar.
Well, when I did, truthfully, when I did the classes before, I mean, I saw differences after just the first class, you know? And a lot of it, again, is training the humans because not everybody gets it and catches on to that. So, yeah, I mean, I think that it does sound like a good amount because I used to have an English Mastiff that I did a lot of training with as well. So, I mean, yeah, I think they pick up on things really quickly.
Yeah.
You know? And honestly, I think that the reactivity probably would really help with so many other things as well.
Yeah.
And the more that now people that aren't wearing masks, she's almost like her guard's getting put down a lot more.
Sure.
So, yeah. So, she's a lot better with humans than she was. But yes, she's just so hyper aware of everything. Sorry.
No, you're fine. The collar that I would suggest for her, she's 30 pounds,
She's 27. She
27.
gained a few pounds.
Okay. The collar I recommend for her is meant for 35-pound dogs and under.
Mm-hmm.
It runs, I believe, about 237-ish with tax.
Okay.
Half-mile range, so plenty of range for the family, standard family dog. Waterproof system, both the transmitter and the receiver, so she can go swimming in it, no problem. You could be in a pool with a remote around your neck, no problem.
She's not a swimmer. She's scared of water. Shocker. She does have she has a life jacket, but yeah, that's how we pick her up out of into the boat. We put her on the life jacket and pass her that way. She does not like the water. Idgie? She's a super intense dog.
So it's meant for 35-pound dogs and under. And then one of the most common questions I get is, when does remote collar go away? In my book, when you need it, it doesn't. So, because you can't ever plan for, like, is there going to be a skateboarder on this next block, right? And then people always ask, like, well, you know, if the tool is so effective, or if, like, I'm such a great trainer or whatever, like, why does a dog still need the remote collar even once training is done? And then the easiest way to answer that would be like, do you drive?
Yeah.
Do you go on the expressway?
Yeah.
Do you go the speed limit?
No.
Most people don't go the speed limit, right? When you see a squad car, what happens?
Slam on brakes.
Yeah, slow down, because you don't want to get a ticket. So with the remote collar, I always tell people, think of the e-collar as a cop on a collar. Same thing with your star mark. Just a cop on a collar, right? She knows that when you have that collar on, you have a degree of consequence that you can administer.
Yeah.
It's just whether or not is it to the degree that it will deter her behavior.
Yeah.
Right? So when it comes to remote collar, it doesn't mean that you're always having to use it.
Sit.
It's just that it's there in case you need it.
You're not getting this now. Yeah. You're not getting it. You're not being good right now. I can tell she's anxious. I'm sorry. So where do you get that collar from?
2 places, or a lot of places. If you go online, you can get them on Amazon, you can get them to the doctor website. Maria would send you the make and model that I'm suggesting for you. Mm-hmm. We also sell them here, so if you'd like to get one through us, you can get them through us.
Okay. Truth is it more price conscious to get it somewhere else or get it here? Truthfully.
It's probably like
That?
$5 difference because of taxes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then if you get it through Amazon, what I suggest is that you read the manual. Don't put it on her, but read the manual, turn it on, mess with it. On the remote, it goes up to 127 in increments of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 127. So if you mess with it and you turn 1 and you try to go to 2 and it goes to like 30, you have a limit. Okay?
Oh, okay.
You're gonna want to turn that in, get an exchange, get an appropriate one. It's rare, but it happens, where the client will get a dud. So this way you don't show up to training and you have this collar that you can't even use. Okay? Other questions?
Okay. No, I think that's good. Will Maria send all the information as far as like the cost or
Yeah, she'll
everything
send you
like that?
a breakdown of price, she'll send you the model that I recommend.
Okay.
And then if you have any like remaining questions, if she can answer them, she will. If it's something that's related to me, she'll ask me, and I'll send her my response.
Okay.
Other questions?
No, I'm so sorry. I can tell she's getting anxious right now. I don't want to be the person with that's embarrassed of my dog. You know, like I want my dog to be super well behaved. And so she'll do this sometimes when she wants her stuff, and I don't want to give her any more.
Sure.
Because she's not being good. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I guess the biggest thing for me is reactivity. So I do travel for work, and that's probably the hardest thing is I travel for work and I have 4 girls that stay, because I travel a lot. And I have 4 girls that work with her. She's always really good with them. Like, they don't have problems. I have a full sit down, like they have a book. I'm like, she cannot get out of her crate unless you say free. Like, I'm really strict because I don't want any of my stuff that I've tried to work with her on to be ruined. But how do you teach them?
You don't need to.
I don't need to. Okay, so that's what I was, if they're only with her like 1 or 2 days, you know, each, like every other week or something like that, because they stay the night at my place actually.
Sure.
It's just easier. She's too stressed out to go to someone else's house. But I don't even, would I even have them put the collar on? No.
So the e-collar, man, it's all about consistency. So if every time you put the collar on, you're just always on it, right? Think of like when she's with the girls, it's like her vacation time,
Okay.
right? But when you're back, she goes, "Mom's here." You know, the rules are in play. She's just gonna shift.
Okay.
So nothing that they do is gonna ruin her.
Okay.
Okay, e-collar gives you the greatest gray area that there is, because
Okay,
you get
good.
everything just comes back to the press of a button. Now, when it comes to transference, e-collar also transfers very easily and I would say like there's an 80% transference rate. And the last 20% is simply achieved through practice and repetition.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't want to have to worry about teaching 4 different people how to use the e-collar, you don't need to.
Yeah, okay, that was one thing that I was curious if I was going to have to do that with them, because I'm like, I don't want them to do something wrong and then, you know, it mess her up too, because again, she's very like, one time it scares her, and I mean, the window washer thing happened about a year ago, and I thought she was going to commit suicide because she jumped from the couch, on the top of the couch, into the wall and ran and hid and was hidden for like 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
She wouldn't even come out into the living room.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got mad at my building. I was like, why didn't you guys tell us there were window washers? It's scary to see people just coming down hanging. But yeah, that's okay, good. I'm glad to know that. But yeah, so no, I think I think my thing is I kind of want to go like start a couple classes and then see how it goes from there, you know, and watch my consistency and making sure that I'm on top of it and see, you know, how it works with me and her, you know, doing it together. So, I mean, obviously you've kind of seen her roaming around a little bit. What do you think about like her? Like, does she seem like unmanageable? I hope she doesn't.
No, this is the average like overstimulated dog. Like that's why she's always on alert. Her nervousness, I've seen a little bit of it when things have like gone on, and just her alertness to things. But I'm picking up more on the nervousness from the stuff that you're telling me. But this is like not uncommon.
Okay.
Like this is, you know, stuff I see all the time.
I mean, it's probably overstimulation anyways with like other dogs and smells and stuff like that in here, right? I would think.
No.
No?
Yeah, like another dog, if I took my pit somewhere and I sat down like this, she would sniff for a little bit and then for like a couple minutes she'd just come back and chill for like for the next hour that I was there.
Will an overstimulated dog, will that ever fully go away though?
Yeah, so the overstimulation is a lack of boundaries. But remember,
when it's time,
boundaries
I don't want to press past the time, so.
that she understands. Okay, so the boundaries for a dog is physicality, and that's what e-collar comes into play. So once you start to use appropriate physicality, because you're technically using it now, but a physicality that she's going to understand and respect and respond to, that's when you're going to start to see the shift in things. Okay? And it's not so much that you're making her not overstimulated, is that you're putting rules and boundaries on her so that there's not 30 different options. So like I had a client that just wrapped up her 12th class with me, and her dog was the same when she came in. Like he was just all over the place. And she's like, he never settles down. And then on the 12th class, she's like, oh my God, Jesse, like this dog is so chill now. She's like, you were right. He's like, he just had way too many options on his plate and he couldn't like stop himself. But now that he's got discipline and calm, she can take him anywhere.
Yeah.
You know?
And
so,
that's ideally what I want to be able to do. I mean, I really do try to work on socialization with her. I mean, I take her to stores, trying to be around people, even probably stores I'm not supposed to bring her in. She's normally pretty good in the stores. Her sniffing gets a little out of control.
Yeah, and that's part of overstimulation.
Overstimulation. And that's why when I put this thing on her, like if she starts to get too stimulated in a store, I put this on her. She stays right next to me. She'll sit, relax, calm down. And I actually didn't even believe this. And I don't know if you know the the people, they used to have a place in the West Loop for like 30 years. Do you know the people at Good Dog?
Oh, I think so.
John and his wife, and then I forget, Mr. John is what they call him.
Mhm.
My friend, he's from New Zealand, and he used to be a dog trainer here in town for like some of the police dogs.
Mhm.
And he was the one, he's in New Zealand now, but
Mhm.
he was the one that like gave me a couple names of some people
Mhm.
to go to, and who used to train my old dog, and so I went there. And I mean, they did great for what I needed at the time, because I got her in April of last year at the end, and within a week I started catching on to some random things, and I was like, And so it was really hard for me to find a dog trainer that would actually, because no one was open at that time, you know?
Oh, sure, yeah.
So I ended up getting them to do privates with me, because I was like, I can't let this continue
Sure.
any longer. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely am interested. Get ready. I don't have a vehicle, so I do have to be just have a zip car right now, so I do have to be somewhat selective on the times that I come.
Sure, so you
So-
technically have two options. So we train at Oz Park. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's the busiest park in Chicago. One of my
Yeah.
clients works for the city.
Yeah.
And I trained her dog at Oz. She's like, this is great, this is the busiest park. in
Is
Chicago."
it Lincoln and,
Lincoln and Webster.
yeah. okay.
Yeah, so it's just up Lakeshore.
Yeah.
Uh, We still do in-home in the sense that we travel to you and
Yeah.
stuff. It's just at a different rate.
Yeah.
Because COVID, I had to flip my whole operation because I used to do home to home.
Yeah.
Then when COVID happened, people were like, don't come to our home.
Yeah.
So then I started operating at Oz Park, but it's turned out to be great. Everybody loves it because it's such a distracting environment. Dogs, people, rollerbladers, skateboarders, segways.
And that's what I definitely, because in the house, I can get her, ready, and she will listen a lot better in the house versus when there's just a bunch of stimulation that's going on. And that's ideally what I want, is like she knows the smell of it too. And you'll kind of see her reaction. She'll just kind of like calm down. I just want her to relax. That's it. There you go. But yeah, I definitely want to do it probably in a park, I would say would be the best bet. So,
Yeah.
And I mean, I can make it up there.
So when it comes to booking, Maria would handle all that stuff. As far as I know right now, last she told me I was booking already in July.
Okay.
And there's people that are onboarding now.
Yeah.
So by the time you're in line for your spot, it could be end of July, August, I don't know.
End of July is hard for me because, like I said, I travel a lot, so
Sure.
I definitely want to book. I just have to kind of pick and choose.
Sure.
Because I'm gone typically right now 2 weeks out of the month. I make my own schedule. So, but July, I'm only in town for 1 full week in July, so that's okay.
Sure.
I'm slammed.
Yeah.
Ever since they allowed our travel to come back,
Yeah.
I'm so packed.
You can, you can even book like later. So
Okay.
this way you got your dates in anytime,
Yeah.
and then you can just plan your work schedule around that.
Yeah, no, and that would work completely fine for me.
Yeah.
So, you see how she kind of just.
Yeah, he saw, she looks so depressed.
And doesn't it look so depressing?
It's funny.
Yes, it's so interesting to me how she acts. I don't know why she acts that way.
With the muzzle, it takes away their primary source of defense, which is their mouth.
Yeah.
So a lot of times for dogs, it will